Alright, hello guys, welcome back to another video. So I wanted to come on here to talk about a situation that we haven't been talking about enough, am I right? Because it looks like there has been a recent development in the situation and it's just fucking wild, dude. I already said the F word and it's not even 30 seconds, but you know, it's just like, man, this is just gonna keep going on and on and on and on and on. Like the back and forth. Because if you guys are not aware and you don't have Twitter or anything like that, it looks like caitibugzz has made a live stream response to GeorgeNotFound. And yeah, that's what we're gonna be talking about today. So I really shouldn't have to recap you on this situation because I feel like most people who watch me have heard about this situation and have found me recently because I've been covering these Minecraft allegations. But yeah, I guess for the people who are not aware or the people who need a refresher, GeorgeNotFound, a popular Minecraft YouTuber, had allegations made against him by this creator who goes by the name of caitibugzz. She alleged that she was sexually assaulted by him, and we went through everything here on the channel. So if you want to hear this more in detail, like I have videos up on it right now, so definitely please go check those out. But yeah, after these allegations came out, GeorgeNotFound did his response on his Twitch, and essentially he gave his side of the story. He said that they were cuddling, and she left that part out of what she was saying. I don't know why you would leave that out, because when she was talking about this the first time, she specifically said that she was reading off of something that she wrote, and it really just didn't make any sense to me that like she wouldn't include that they were cuddling. But yeah, no, what George claims happened was something along the lines of that he apparently had his hands around her waist because, you know, they were cuddling, and that's totally normal, by the way. I just want to say that. But apparently what she is claiming is that he touched her tits. Now, since George's response, it's been essentially just a back and forth with her responding again with like a 9 or 10 page like 10th grade English essay type response, and I unfortunately read that all on video. And besides that, also another thing is that some of her friends started coming out and giving their side of the story, and as her friends came out, it started to become blatantly obvious that their stories did not match up with how the events happened that night, essentially, which I found that to be really weird. I talk more about this in my past videos. Now, I don't want to take too long going over the recap and like explaining what happened when you guys can go check out the other videos if you're not aware, but essentially in my last video, I went over George's response because he made another response that happened to be on his live streaming channel on YouTube. He clarified some things, and one of the main things that he went over in this was that caitibugzz either maliciously put this in there or she did this on accident, but I don't really think it was an accident. But she tried to frame some random person as one of George's unnamed friends at the event, and George totally debunks this in this video. So yeah, it just goes to show that like there are a whole lot of holes in her story, therefore she's not the most credible person out there. So just keep that in mind as we go through her new response, and don't just immediately believe her at face value like how Twitter is. But anyways, I guess we're on to the final response. So a little bit earlier today at 2 p.m, caitibugzz put out a tweet. She said, "I worded myself poorly, but my final thoughts nonetheless." And then she attaches a link to her Twitch stream.
The one biggest thing that I want to clear up, it is fucking sexual assault, okay? I'm not gonna apologize, say that it isn't sexual assault, that I'm not a sexual assault victim. The touching that he has admitted to many times, this touching that he admitted to not asking or getting my consent before he did, he felt up my tits on a couch with other people there. He stuck his hand up my shirt, under my bra, and felt up, fondled, whatever you want to say. He felt up my tits. Unwanted sexual touch is literally in the definition of sexual assault. It's fucking sexual assault, and I'm never gonna apologize for saying it is, okay?
Well, I just gotta say, that's quite a bit for just starting the stream off. Was not really expecting to hear new things at this point, because I just wanted to make it clear. When was this ever brought up besides right now? Like, am I the only one who's just like, this is new? There weren't even really slight mentions of it potentially being him touching your boobs, your tits, whatever you want to call them. Like, this was never mentioned. Why was this never mentioned? Like, I just find it to be so weird that if this is the problem, if this is what happened and you didn't like it and you're saying it's sexual assault, why did you not mention specifically that, oh, he touched this area? Like, oh, he touched my tits. He stuck his hand up my bra. Like, we never heard about this. And when it comes down to George admitting things, like he never admitted that he touched you under your bra and touched your tits. Like, if he did, he would have been crucified. No, what he said and what he admitted to was that you and him cuddled. He cuddled you, whatever. And the touching that happened was not sexual. Like, when you cuddle somebody, of course you're gonna be like touching them. I mean, I shouldn't have to explain this. adults. Like, is this a new concept to people? Like, what's insane about this whole situation is it basically involves a whole bunch of adults. And I'm not saying I'm the smartest individual in the world, because I know I am not, but like, man, you're fucking adults. Like, grow up and start using your brain. And I also forgot to mention this, but I find it so weird that like, if this went down in front of all these other people, you would expect like these people to come out and say, oh, George SA'd her and like touched her under her sports bra or whatever she was wearing that night. Like, that's what you would expect, but nobody is coming out and blatantly saying that that is what happened. I just find that to be really weird. And I mean, if this all happens to be true, which I highly doubt it is, then all these people who were in the room with her when this allegedly happened, essentially they covered up SA, like each and every last one of them. But yeah, no, after everything that I've seen with Caiti and her situation and the holes in the story and whatnot, and trying to twist things to make people look like they're real bad, making the age gap like a big thing in this whole situation, like, it's just so bad faith. And it just gets to the point where I cannot believe somebody who is coming out and claiming that all this bad stuff happened to them, and then they constantly just switch up the narrative as they go on. Like, I just can't believe somebody like that. Sorry for the yapping, let's continue.
For saying it is, okay? It isn't fake allegations. It's not fake allegations. I'm not a liar. Quite literally, the thing that I was talking about is my sexual assault. And that's the one thing he confirmed. He can sit there and confirm that he did it. And I'm still sat here getting called a liar, getting called a fake victim, getting called, what was it? A slut and a prude at the same time. And quite frankly, it's fucking ridiculous. I'm not gonna stand down. Luckily, I'm not scared to say it anymore. That's it. It's sexual assault.
Once again, he did not confirm jack shit, but I figured I would note something that he did say, something that I did find really suspicious when I was going through the other information, when I was making the other videos. In one of his responses, he did say that he did have his hand up her shirt.
She never went into the exact specifics either, so out of respect for Caiti, I've chosen not to give any more details than she did, to make sure that I'm not airing out any information that she's not comfortable with being known. But I have clarified that the furthest things went was under the shirt touching.
Now, that doesn't immediately mean that, like, you know, he was touching like an inappropriate area or had his hand up her bra or whatever, but it still is very suspicious. And would I say that that is admitting to SAing her and like touching that area? Definitely not, but it still is really suspicious despite the fact that they were cuddling. Now, the reason why people are calling you a liar though is because your story is just so weird. Now, I'm not going to bring up everything wrong with her story, but I am going to bring up some of the main things and the reasons why people think that she is lying, those of which include her and her best friend's stories do not match up despite the fact that they were both in the same, like they were in the same group and they were around each other for the whole VidCon experience. Another thing is what I talked about earlier, the age gap, and trying to make it seem like he's in the wrong for wanting to cuddle an 18-year-old, a freshly 18-year-old woman, if we can even call you that, except at the same time, you're not a fucking minor. 18 years old is not a minor. 18 is an adult, and after you hit 18, the age gaps, they stop mattering, as long as you're not dating downwards, okay? But anything 18 plus, fair game. So I don't know why we were bringing up the ages, except for the fact that, like, there was alcohol being given to underage people. And I mean, when it comes down to that, like, once again, you're an 18-year-old adult. Learn how to be responsible. Either you follow the law and you don't drink and do it the legally sound way, or you just fucking drink because who gives a shit. But at the same time, don't try to blame other people for pressuring you into drinking when it is fully your responsibility to govern whether or not you want to drink or not. Like you were at a private gathering inside of a fucking hotel room, not in public or anything like that. I guess you choose what you want to do. Nobody else has a gun to your head and is like, yeah, drink this or I'm shooting you. And if by any chance that did happen, I don't see why you're holding back on saying that, you know, that went down. Now, another thing in her initial allegations towards George and the story that she told, she said that George touched her when he was sitting like right next to her and they weren't cuddling. There was no mention of cuddling at all. And the cuddling was news to everybody after George addressed it and he said that's what actually happened. And she agreed with him on the cuddling. So she left that out for whatever reason. And you can't just say, oh, she misspoke, because no, she didn't. Because if you guys remember, she was reading off of a little script thing or like a notepad thing that she had on her phone. And it was all like pre-made. Another hole in her story was her response to GeorgeNotFound's response to her, where in one of the pages of the document, I guess we could call it, that she typed up, which was like 8 or 9 pages long. I went over it in a video of mine last week. She either maliciously took a screenshot or she just didn't know. She put it in the document and claimed it was one of the unknown friends that George had there that left early. And essentially what it was this person, the person everybody thought was the unknown friend at the time, was asking if Caiti was okay. George comes back and he makes a response on that. He got a little bit of clarification on that and he talked to his unknown friend, and it turns out that his unknown friend never sent that. And then a little bit later, Caiti came out and acknowledged that that screenshot, it was a mistake that it was put in there, which I mean, I really don't know if I believe that. But yeah, it's just one of the many inconsistencies that she had in her story. And as far as I'm aware, I haven't detailed every single one of the inconsistencies, but there are quite a few in her story, including the one that we just went over where she claims that he actually stuck his hand into her bra and touched her there. Like, I don't understand why the story is changing still and why this is new information and why we're just hearing about it. Like, it's almost as if like George's responses to everything has turned so many people against her, and now a lot of people do not believe her and what she is saying, so she's just coming out and unleashing everything that she has at this point.
The amount of miscommunication, misinformation that is spreading is one of the biggest reasons I feel like I just don't even really have anything to say anymore, because I mean, I was reading my own story on Twitter, and I was reading it, and I didn't even know it was my story they were talking about until they said my name, because of how skewed everything's gotten. It's like this huge game of telephone, where each time it gets a little bit more off, but no one's acknowledging that they could have heard wrong, and they're yelling what they heard as loud as possible. Okay, people saying, I'm trying to ruin a man's career because he tickled me, or especially, he did not rape me either.
I mean, okay, if that's not true, then what is your goal at the end of this? Like, what are you trying to do? Get your story out? Or are you just trying to ruin his career? Because at this point, it just seems like you're trying to ruin his career, let alone that your story is rapidly changing and has many holes in it. And the reason why people are saying that, like, oh, he tickled you or whatever, like, that's a fucking meme. It's a fucking joke. Like, do you not understand? I mean, I know things are supposed to be serious, but like, when it comes down to it, he never fucking admitted to essaying you. He only admitted to cuddling you. And that's really it. I mean, he did say that one weird part where he had his hand or whatever up your shirt, but I don't know what he meant by that. And to say that like he stuck his hand up your bra because he said that and like claimed that he admitted to it, like, you're wrong. That's not him admitting that. Sure, it's suspicious, but still, that's not him admitting that, you know, he stuck his hand up there, like way up there and touched that. Now, once again, when it comes down to the R word stuff and the RNN, like, she definitely has seen other people's coverage on the situation, like Nicholas Diorio, Lyrics, maybe even me, who knows. But no, I haven't really been making jokes like those on my channel. I've been sort of just going through the information, giving everybody the scoop, and at the same time criticizing both sides and giving my opinion on how I feel about how this is being handled. But no, when it comes down to that, I will admit it is pretty funny, those jokes. But the reason why they're doing those jokes and they're not taking you seriously is because everybody at this point thinks you lied, because it really does look like you did. And a lot of people don't think you're the victim. And you can't blame anybody else for that, and you can't say that, oh, we're victim blaming. No, it's your fault. You're the one who did that. And what is going on right here is literally a disgrace to actual real victims of SA, the R word, and other similar things. Like, I've had literal victims in my comments talk about how appalled they are by what's going down right here. And because of what's going down right here, it hurts actual real victims. Not just people who have been cuddled, then for whatever reason get asked if they were okay cuddling after the fact, and then start to realize, hey, maybe I actually was a victim of something that was really bad. Maybe something really bad did happen to me. Because I'm going to bring this up again, but you can literally see right here what I am talking about. Hi, I want to make sure you're okay. I didn't like the way George was so touchy, and Blank told me about the shirt thing, and I just want to make sure you're all right. Now she goes on to respond and she says, yes, I'm okay. It was definitely a bit weird, but I was drunk, so I didn't feel like doing anything to stop it anyway, and it's over now. So now what I'm saying right here is, oh, it was definitely a bit weird, but it doesn't look like she really took that big of an issue with it right after it happened. happened, whatever happened, if it was just the cuddling or if it was more or what. Then she gets asked again by another person who says, hey buddy, I wanted to double check with you that George didn't make you uncomfortable at all last night. I saw he was getting really touchy with you, so I just wanted to double check. Smile. She responds and says, maybe? Bro, I have no clue. Like in the moment I was chilling, but thinking back on it, I'm sweating a little bit, like damn. And especially after verifying, so he knew I was 18, crying face emoji. Again, in this scenario, it's two legal adults, so why is the age being brought into it? That's something I really do not understand, because it seems like in the moment they had more of an issue with her being 18 and him being 26 at the time. And I also don't know if I was chilling in the moment because I was drunk. Crying face emoji. I don't know. I have to ponder on it or just forget about it because it's over with, lol. Like the whole reason and the point I'm trying to get at is that she's questioning it now after people are coming to her asking if she's okay, as if something really bad happened when that was not necessarily the case. And from what we just read, she doesn't even know if what happened was really bad or not. Like she said she had to think about it. So it seems like she really didn't have an issue with what had happened until people hit her up and asked if she was okay, and then she started thinking about what had happened. I don't know, it just really doesn't make much sense to me.
At least, if you're gonna say something, if you're gonna hate me, that's fine. Watch my full video and then choose to.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that we've been going over everything in terms of this situation. I mean, look at this. 16 minutes, 30 minutes, 38 minutes. What else here? 38 minutes. And I think that's it for now. And then who even knows how long this video is going to be. So, I mean, whoever you're talking about, it's not me.
There is something I'm fully owning up to and clearing up right now. The screenshot. My recent response on Twitter, this is the only kind of like response thing I'm gonna give. I will acknowledge that was a complete miscommunication. There's a screenshot I said was from his friends that wasn't there for the assault, mentioned our ages and acknowledged, the situation was weird. It's a real screenshot. What I got wrong and what was miscommunicated was who it was from. It was actually from, instead of the guy who left or wasn't there for the assault, it was from the girl who wasn't there for the assault. Which I acknowledge is frustrating that I got that wrong, and I didn't realize I got it wrong until after I posted it a long time after. And obviously when I don't come out and say, oh, I got that wrong, when he's the one to come out and say she got that wrong, it makes that into the biggest deal.
You know what I think the biggest deal is here? Is that you got this wrong in the first place. And why it's so bad to get something wrong here, and why it hurts your credibility so much, is because you're levying like very bad allegations towards him. And his career is on the line. And when you happen to be wrong about things and about your story, even if it was a mistake, it still is going to make you look bad. You can't just be like, oh, it was a mistake, everybody forgive me, everybody still listen to me and make sure my story is valid. No, people start to question you because of things like that. You cannot mess up at all when you were talking about and levying huge allegations towards somebody else, especially when it comes down to like sexual assault. Like this shit is not a joke. And before you put that screenshot in your document, you should have verified it and made sure it was actually true. Because if you don't do that, then you start losing credibility and people start questioning you even more. So I guess you can clear it up, quote unquote, all you want, but it's not really going to help you, especially because there are other holes in your story. So now people believe that this could have been malicious. So it's cool that you're addressing it, but it's not going to help you.
Also, the fact that I said I was freshly 18, which is something a lot of people are mad about, when in reality I was 18 and 5 months old. My bad. What I meant to say in that original stream where I said I was freshly 18, I said I was freshly 18 and just out of high school. What I meant to say was I was 18 and freshly out of high school. I just put it in front of the wrong thing, and I do acknowledge that. But once again, I feel like the idea is still the same, whether it's freshly 18 or freshly out of high school, because I had just graduated a few weeks earlier. The idea is still there. It's still there. And these are the things, I'm sorry, I do get frustrated with that because people are mad at me saying that I'm a liar because of these things instead of acknowledging the fact that he fucking admitted to doing what he did to me. Like, and we're worried about the fact that I said I was freshly 18 when I meant to say I was freshly out of high school.
Dude, she just doesn't stop, bro. Like, I don't see why it matters. Even if she was still in high school and she was 18, am I really supposed to care? Now, that's not what happened, and that's not the case because she said that she was freshly out of high school. But okay, just like imagine the situation the other way around in terms of genders, I guess, or sex, however you want to do this. Reverse the roles, all right? George is 18. She is 26. George comes out with this story claiming he was sexually assaulted assaulted. She stuck her hands down his pants, blah, blah, blah. You get it. And I mean, realistically, if the roles were reversed like that and that actually happened, I don't think anybody would really give a fuck. I feel like George would have gotten memed on. Nobody would have given a fuck. And he probably would have been bullied off the internet, honestly. But just imagine this happens to him. Then he comes out saying, oh, I was freshly 18, freshly out of high school. And oh, an 8-year age gap between me, an 18-year-old, and a 26-year-old is a bad thing. She's a fucking pedophile. She's a child predator because I'm apparently a child at age 18. Double jeopardy. What is a legal adult? If that did happen, literally no one in the world would give a flying fuck. And that's how it should be. Like, why are we trying to make like an 18-year-old potentially hooking up with a 26-year-old like a bad fucking thing? And because, oh, she just graduated high school, oh, George is a bad fucking person. He likes children. Like, why? I think that's just trying to throw whatever you can at the wall to see what sticks maliciously to destroy his career and to get more people to turn on him. Like, it's crazy. Just stop. It's so bad faith. Like, stop making it about the age. If you are a legal adult and you're 18, you want to hook up with like a 50-year-old, I don't give a fuck. Do what you want to do. It doesn't make them a pedophile. It doesn't make you whatever the fuck people would say about you, except for maybe weird because it's not normal really. But what I'm trying to say overall is as long as it's legal adults, there is no problem, at least in terms of who you can hook up with consent, at least when it comes down to doing sexual acts. And also, again, he never admitted to sexually assaulting you and putting his hands under your bra. Like, that never happened. He never said that, and that's just not true.
Surrounded this situation is fucking insane. I'll get into just the blaming of me. That is insane. Shit. But the hypocrisy of I just can't do anything in this situation. I mean, I came out about it publicly, and I was called an attention-seeking slut. So then I'm like, fine, I privated all my things so I can receive followers, receive clout. You know, I couldn't grow from this. I've privated everything, so I can't gain that. And then I'm told I'm hiding from everything and that I should go public. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I cry on my stream because I'm scared and I'm talking about my assault. I cry, and then I'm told I'm embarrassing, that I'm doing it for attention, that I'm a pick-me, that I'm dramatic. But if I sat there and I didn't cry, I know I would have been called a liar, soulless, heartless, you know, a sociopath. You can't do anything right in these situations, and it's fucking insane. But when I have inconsistencies in my story and I address them and I acknowledge it, my whole story's out. It's in the trash, and I'm seen as a liar for inconsistencies. But when he has an inconsistency, or when, you know, even the 21 wristband thing saying I had a band that said I was, you know, when he has an inconsistency and I prove it wrong, have video footage of it, it's still used against me to this day. His inconsistencies are taken as the holy fucking grail and as the truth, even when proved wrong. And when I have an inconsistency, my whole fucking everything I've said is gone. It's just the way I've been treated is fucking insane. And I'm not afraid to say it's fucking insane, because I do acknowledge I have inconsistencies, you know, but it is, anyways.
Realistically, the way I see this is you guys could have easily went behind the scenes in private and had like a phone call or like some sort of conversation about this. Like, you didn't have to bring it to the internet. And that's why people are calling you a clout whore, because you didn't have to go public about it. Because from what I understand, it was a huge misunderstanding. Nothing bad happened like what you're saying. And that's all it was. It should have been talked out on the phone or something like that. And you guys should have came to an understanding, because now it's just a constant going back and forth. Like you said you didn't want there to be a back and forth, but now there is a back and forth. You're responding, he's responding. Well, he's probably gonna respond after this, and I'm really hoping he doesn't, because I feel like if he does, he's gonna hear you out and say the wrong thing and say something really fucking stupid and incriminate himself. Because I genuinely believe that George is innocent from everything that I've seen. He's handled the situation, in my opinion, a little bit poorly, but besides that, he's looking pretty good, and he really doesn't have holes in his story. Now, of course, he got a few things wrong, like the wristbands, but it's easy to see how you could make that mistake and just assume everybody is over 21 because you saw a wristband. And something you really can't compare is being the accuser and making a huge mess up like that with that screenshot, having your story evolve over time for whatever reason. Also, your best friend's story and your story did not match up, and your best friend was with you pretty much the whole time. You guys even slept in the same room. Like, I can't go over there and be like, yeah, that was just a simple mistake. No, I can't, because you're the one who's coming out accusing this guy of like career ruining shit. And And of course, I'm going to ask questions about it, especially when you do not provide any evidence. Because if you guys do not recall, she did not show any screenshots or nothing in her first allegations, I guess, live stream that she did on her Twitch. It was all hearsay. And what she said also is that she didn't want to reveal the evidence that she had to prove that he was an SAer, and she didn't want victims, quote unquote, to have to provide evidence to be believed. Which, I mean, I guess I can understand that a little bit, but when it comes down to like you accusing somebody else of doing something and you just straight up do not provide any evidence to it, like how am I supposed to believe that? Like, I'm sorry. Like, this is the main reason why victims nowadays, the real actual victims, have a harder time sharing their story and having people believe it, because there have been so many situations where people have just been lying and slandering other people just because they don't like them and want to ruin their career. Like, it's unfortunate, and it looks like it's happening again in this situation. And that's why people are calling you a liar, a scumbag, and a piece of shit, because you're lying and switching up the story.
And I also understand the idea that we have different point of views. Obviously, we're going to have different point of views of that night. Otherwise, what happened wouldn't have happened. I don't understand believing the one point of view over the other. And again, even the fact that we have different point of views. The one thing we agree on, is the fact that he touched me and didn't ask if I was okay with it. That's what I came out about, and that's what he agreed with. I mean, I don't know. Oh, and again, the fact of him saying I painted him in a bad light. I'm talking about my assault. I'm not gonna paint it in a fucking rainbows and sunshine light. Him saying I used word choices that painted him bad, but then he says stuff like, oh, we cuddled before. Cuddling can be taken, and I watched it be taken and ran with. He says we cuddled, and people are like, you can't get mad at what he did to you because you were lying on top of him and all up on him before it happened. I wasn't. We were on a couch. Sitting up. We were all on a couch. Everything and anything you could consider cuddling, I saw that as a friendly, like, drunk, what you do with your friends. I was doing it with my best friend that was right next to me as well, you know? And again, I believed any touches were more initiated by him, but again, that's just hearsay. Again,
I mean, at this point, what are we talking about? Are we talking about how the cuddling is bad and you didn't want the cuddling? Or are we talking about how, like, the sexual assault is bad and you didn't want the sexual assault to happen? Like, you didn't want that. Like, which one are we talking about? Because right now, right here, it seems like you're only talking about the cuddling, which, I mean, dude, if you can't handle cuddling, then I don't know what to tell you. And also, what's crazy about this is I still don't understand why she didn't just say this in the beginning about the cuddling. In the beginning, she made it seem like he was sitting next to him, right? And didn't even mention one single bit, anything about the cuddling. Nothing at all. But now apparently it's a big deal after he revealed it. Like, man, this shit is just, it's all over the place. And you want people to believe you, but it's just like, how am I supposed to believe you when your story is just all whack? Like, if George didn't bring any of this up, she would not be talking about it. She probably saw Shovel come out about her stuff and saw what Wilbur did with his terrible fucking response and then decided to come out against George, hoping he was gonna do the same thing. But I guess it really didn't work. It kind of backfired, didn't it?
For the people saying I'm an attention seeker, I think genuinely when people come out about these kind of things, is insane that people believe that. Anyone who has genuinely came out about a true story that has happened to them, they know that this attention is the worst attention you could possibly ever get. I've lost the love for something that I've spent so long on because of all of this. You know, it is everything that I've worked for since I was 16. On this account, you know, under this name, everything that I've worked for is overshadowed by this. When you look up my name, this is what it is. I'm fucking defined by this now, you know, and there's no coming back from that. Why would I want that? And it's my trauma and what I've been through has become drama and clickbait and just another discussion topic to argue with each other on Twitter. Why would I want any of this? I will tell you guys why I came out about it later, but this is not the attention anyone would want. And if someone does want attention like this, they're fucking insane. This isn't me undermining any of the support I've gotten. I love you guys, and I love the people that have shown me support. I'll never be able to thank you guys enough, but even the good support that I've gotten in this situation, you know, the people that are strictly, before I privated, following me just because of this, it's not even the kind of following that I want.
Well, I guess the only thing I really can say about that is that you reap what you sow. Again, how many times have I said, like, you didn't have to bring this to the internet. Nobody else was going to bring it to the internet. Or maybe they were. I don't know. But if this was resolved behind the scenes, then this wouldn't have happened. Like, what is up with people in bringing their, like, I guess, personal beefs and stuff like that with other people to the internet with the goal of, like, trying to get attention off of it, or at least good attention. And also at the same time, try to ruin the other person's career career over something that could have been easily settled behind the scenes, something that is as simple as making a phone call. Like a simple phone call. It's not that hard. Like, why does everything have to be drama? And I know she says like, oh, I didn't want drama or whatever. The moment you bring it to the internet and start accusing somebody falsely of these like really heinous things, it's gonna start a back and forth with this person because they're trying to defend themselves, unless you're a Wilbur, but we don't talk about him. Yeah, no, the moment you took it to the internet though, it turned into drama. Your story seems like it was fabricated and full of lies. So I can see why a lot of people are hating on you and being against you. So yeah, I just find it real funny that she's on here being like, well, nobody really wants this kind of attention or whatever she was saying. But I mean, I feel like if things went the other way and she was winning in this situation, I feel like she would not feel that way. And she wouldn't even talk about not liking it. I think only because she's losing, she is saying stuff like this and she wants to leave and she doesn't want to do this anymore. Like, she's responsible for her own actions and she frankly is the reason why her career is going downhill. Like, it's nobody else's fault that you happen to be known by this and you will forever have this stain on your reputation. Like, this is ridiculous. If people thought before they did, maybe we wouldn't have things go down like this.
I mean, and I could have even understood if it would have been I know we have different perspectives of the night, and I know I assumed stuff that I shouldn't have, but I'm still sorry for hurting you, period. But anytime, again, he readmits to the fact that he touched me without consent, it's followed with a but. It's followed with a, yes, I touched you. Yes, I didn't ask if it was okay. But you were smiling. But you seemed like you would have wanted it. But I assumed you wanted it because I'm fucking sick of it. I'm fucking sick of the but. I'm just so sick of it. And not even just that, it's then put into this video where the entire video is picking apart my story once again, picking apart every single thing I said, and once again focusing on things that are irrelevant to the fact that you fucking touched me. I mean, being like, whoa, she said my friend left early, but really he left late. What the fuck does that have to do with you touching me and not asking first? What the fuck? Your friend wasn't there when it happened. Oh, this is all the stuff she left out. She left this out because she can't be trusted and is leaving important info out. I left out the 2 people that were in that room that weren't there for my assault. I was talking about my assault. They weren't there for it. Why would I? He's put in this position, right? To pick out every inconsistency and especially pick out any information I didn't mention and put it on a silver platter and be like, here's everything that she was kind of wrong about and here's everything she left out. So she can't be trusted. And because I'm the one pointing it out, you can trust me. Because I'm the one putting it out there for you, you can trust me. He's put in this position.
I mean, realistically, if you were in the same boat, you would probably be doing the same thing because once again, they're really damning allegations that have been made against you. And you want to make sure you address everything. You don't want to miss anything. Like, that's why he was going through everything and picking it apart. Now, in terms of the touching, what he said is exactly this.
We had previously been cuddling on this couch for around an hour, but I did place my hand on her waist under her shirt. The way it's phrased makes it sound like it just happened out of nowhere, when in reality we'd been cuddling for over an hour at this point, and it was not out of nowhere. It was also around half an hour until I started moving my hand further up, and the way it's phrased just makes it seem like it happened pretty instantly and pretty quickly. There was nothing quick about it, it was very slow, and I was very cautious about it and making sure that she was comfortable throughout the process. Me and Caiti were very touchy, very cuddly, and very slowly got more intimate. I've always been overly cautious with consent, and this is not just because I'm a creator. I've been like this since before I was a creator, and I think that's just the way I am and just the way it should be. Nothing came out of nowhere. Everything progressed very slowly throughout the night.
Now, I previously said this in one of my videos before. If I were him, I wouldn't have even cuddled with her without even asking. I'll be honest here, just as like a precaution here. Because even if they seem like they're having a good time and there's no issues, they could come back and do this shit to you. And I mean, when it comes down to him having his hand in her shirt or whatever, yeah, I probably would have asked about that. But also based off of what he is saying, that doesn't mean that he touched those areas. And I mean, honestly, if that is what he did mean, why didn't you come out immediately and say that, oh, he did this and oh, he went under your bra and touched you there? Like, why didn't this information come out earlier? And why is the story now changing when originally it wasn't presented like this? Like, this is what I'm talking about when it comes down to like leaving things out. Why are you leaving things out? And then later on when you're being challenged, why are you coming out about this stuff now? Like, I don't see what would have been holding you back from just saying, oh, he went under my bra and touched me there. That's my no square in the beginning.
I mean, he'll admit, he can get on a video and sit there and admit to touching me without consent, and then he can bury it. He brings up all these screenshots, all these different details that are irrelevant in the night. He brings this up on purpose, so that's what you guys talk about. He brings up, oh, well, these are texts from Dream and Ghosty. Why do I fucking care about text between Dream and Ghosty when I'm talking about you fucking touching me? He brings up these texts, and he brings up this irrelevant stuff to distract you guys. He's distracting you guys. He's bringing this up to be like, here, look at this, here, debate this, here, talk about this. Oh, and by the way, I did touch her and I didn't ask. And yes, that's the thing she's coming out about that I'm confirming. But look at this. It's so obvious to me. I mean, even like, you know, in DMs and stuff, that in my first video, I confirmed I came out about the fact that, about the messages, but him saying, let's switch from Instagram DMs to go to Snapchat. What is the point of texting on Snapchat versus Instagram? The only reason we didn't continue on Snapchat is because I didn't want to continue there. But in the middle of a convo being like, let's switch to Snapchat, where messages and pictures disappear. I mean, I just feel like these kinds of people are so smart and so calculated. I feel like it's so obvious.
I mean, how are they so calculated by wanting to move over to Snapchat? Like, I don't see a problem with that. Are you an underage minor? Are you going to get groomed? Are you going to have like dick pics sent to you or whatever? Are you going to be sextorted or something? Like, no, you're not. So to try to allude to something because, oh, Snapchat happens to have like this feature where everything deletes, just mainly off of that. Like, again, it's just throwing more things at the wall and seeing what will stick. And it obviously is not working. Now, when it comes down to him showing all these screenshots and stuff, you know what he's showing? He's showing something that you failed to show in the beginning. Evidence for the things that you were saying. He's providing these screenshots for context because he wants to try and clear his name. And I don't get what's so hard to understand about that. Like, that's just what you have to do. You have to show those things, or it's simply just his word against yours. And of course, if he does a shitty response, everybody's gonna believe you because that's just how things go, unfortunately. And we saw that happen with Wilbur. That's what happens when you make a poor response.
But I also acknowledge why people wouldn't see it because they are very convincing. And honestly, I acknowledge, I mean, it's fine, if you don't believe me. I would also like to point out every source that he's getting, if you've noticed, anytime he says, well, she seemed comfortable, and I even asked, the person he's getting to confirm his point of view is his best friend. Or the guy that he called in the video, again, his friend. The three guys that were there, the one guy I didn't mention, and the other two are all friends. He says, well, she wasn't uncomfortable. Well, she seemed like she was fine. And I asked Dream about this. That's his best friend that is helping him make these videos. He is quite literally helping him and sending him stuff to make these videos, these edited responses that he's making them with Dream, like, and then he's using Dream as a source to tell if I was okay or not. I mean, and this friend, whose career is also on the line because they've built their careers together. If he goes down, they both go down. They're obviously gonna back each other up. And I do acknowledge, this is me acknowledging, I can also be a hypocrite in this situation because I had a best friend there.
I mean, what else do you want him to do? The friends that he went to happened to be there when this went down. And who else is gonna help back him up? Nobody else, really. I mean, his friends know what happened that day. So of course they're gonna help back him up. Like, is that not what you were doing also? Like, I really don't see a problem with that. And I don't get this point you're trying to use against him. Let alone that you call yourself a hypocrite for doing the same exact thing, by the way. I mean, I just don't get it. Like, what is this? You're a laughingstock. Like, why even bring it up if it contradicts yourself? I mean, at least when it comes down with George and his friends, at least what they're saying all lines up. Like with you and your best friend Ghosty, like your stories just didn't match up. She was saying one thing, you were saying one thing about the alcohol. Like there's a clear difference here, and I can see why people are going after you for it.
The three main things I said in my first stream, and the three important things in this story: age, power, and consent. Two things, again, he's conveniently not acknowledged, or conveniently didn't acknowledge at the time. The age gap, obviously. Again, my story's about consent, but these are really important to, these will explain my thought process, just the way things played out. The age gap, yes, it's important to know. Again, not freshly 18, freshly out of high school, 18 and 5 months, and he was 26. It's also important to acknowledge this age gap because of the experience gap. The way that he came out in his video and said what he did to me was tame.
You know, it's like every time she acknowledges the ages like that, it just makes my brain shut off. It really does. It's just like, you're both fucking legal adults. Why does it fucking matter? Stop trying to make it like an age thing or whatever. Like, that's cringe. I don't care if you're freshly out of high school and you're 18 years old. You're freshly 18. He's fucking 62. I don't give a shit. Brain dead. These people are beyond helping and saving. Enough of that bullshit, but yeah, no, what I'm trying to say is stop it. Just stop it. Get some help. I'm just kidding. I mean, get some help, honestly, but like, you're 18 years old. You're a legal adult. And what happens when you keep bringing up the age despite the fact that you're a legal adult and you're now out in the real world governing your own decisions and what you do every day? I mean, at this point, maybe it's just too much for you. Maybe we just shouldn't let you have your own autonomy. I mean, is that what you want? Is that literally what you fucking want? You're literally given the right to do whatever the fuck you want on your own terms, including choosing to drink. Do you really want that shit taken away from you? Now, I'm not saying that you should take it away. But I mean, is that what this person is asking for? Like, why are we standing behind the fact that you were 18 and freshly out of high school as if you were like some 17 or 16 or younger fucking child who was just helpless in this situation? Like, okay, I understand that you're young and you're just recently becoming a legal adult, but to constantly bring up the age thing when dealing with an older adult, trying to make them look like they're a creep or worse because, oh, they were cuddling with an 18-year-old, like, that's the biggest reach I've ever fucking seen. So stop bringing it up.
The reason I brought up this entire situation and what I was hoping to bring light to, this wasn't about him. This wasn't about him. I was trying to bring light to blind idolization, how dangerous it is. Coming from someone who was a viewer, how dangerous it is to blindly idolize these people that you don't know. And I always tell my viewers that, to not idolize me to the point of defending me till, like, you die. You know, it's unhealthy. People aren't gonna be, not everyone is who they seem, and it's a hard pill to swallow, but it's important to swallow it. You know what I mean? Like, and especially in these kind of situations where you idolize someone to the point of where something bad comes out about them and you just dig for excuses for them. Just so many excuses instead of just accepting it. You know, that's where it gets dangerous. That's where it's dangerous for everyone involved. It's again, I know how hard something like this can be to accept. It's like, you know, if your best friend, you know your best friend so much, and someone comes to you and says they did something to them. You don't want to believe it because you know your best friend and you don't think they could ever do that. I mean, look at them. Because you know them so well, except you don't fucking know these people. You don't know these people. They aren't your best friend. These are people that create content, millions of people. They aren't your best friend. Like, you don't know who they could be. And again, and that's why I think it's so important. It leaves you in a situation where you're like, well, how can I trust anyone? It's so important to see the people that do know. These content creators that have spent time with these people, these content creators that do know these people, have had private conversations with these people, speaking out against them. It's so blatantly obvious. These people that have seen them behind the scenes, that have hung out with them, you know, that have distanced themselves since then, or that have spoken out against them. I was just hoping that this situation could open people's eyes. And again, how scary and how it's just building more and more this devotion to these people. But I was just hoping to open some people's eyes, I guess. And it's definitely a problem bigger than me.
There is absolutely no way you brought this up mainly because of blind idolization. Like, there's just no way. I mean, I understand what you're saying with the blind idolization. I've talked about this in videos before myself. Like, you can't always trust the people who you're watching and the people who you idolize on the internet. And I totally understand that. But to say that the reason why you came out about this and you did that stream sharing your story and why it was all brought up was because of blind idolization, I don't really know if I believe that. That's just me, though.
The people saying I shouldn't have been illegally drinking. Well, that's what you get for being, you know, illegally drinking. You know, if I was in the UK, where I am most of the time, drinking legally at 18 and this situation still happened, what then? Because I know the people saying it's my fault because I was illegally drinking would just find another reason to blame me. Even if I was legally drinking, they would find another reason to blame me. It's not about the drinking. It's not about the fact I laughed. It's about the fact that you just want to find a reason to blame me for the situation that happened to me. People saying that I shouldn't have been laughing, I was drunk. Oh my God, I was drunk. Like, your mindset during that it doesn't change what you want and don't want. And again, like, it's people saying I probably liked it and now I just regret it. I didn't. I'm telling you, I didn't. I don't know how loud I have to shout it. And again, I'm asexual. I would have never liked it and then regretted it. I would have never liked it to begin with. I'm trying to tell you this. It's always a she shouldn't have done that. She should have done this. She shouldn't have been wearing that. She shouldn't have done this, rather than a simple he shouldn't have done what he did. It's never just a simple he should have controlled himself. It's always, you know, her fault in these situations and never his for not controlling himself. I don't get it. And I would also like to point out it's not a her and he situation. Because men get assaulted too, okay? Roles are that's assault. Men get assaulted too. It can happen to anyone, and that's very real. And that's a conversation that really should be had, but not in this situation.
You know, like I was saying earlier, I feel like if this were to happen and the roles were reversed, I feel like everybody would just laugh at George and bully him off the internet. Like, I deadass do not think anybody would really give a fuck. And plus, by the way, what do you mean it was not about the drinking? Like, dude, she's contradicting herself. Because if you guys know anything about the alleged story and what she claimed happened in the beginning on the first live stream, you would know that she makes it seem like the alcohol she was being pressured into drink, and because she was drinking and she was drunk. That's why she was having a good time and she was laughing, and that contributed essentially to what she is claiming happened with the cuddling and the essay that she claims has happened. So what do you mean the alcohol doesn't matter here? Now I understand it in the context of, oh, it doesn't matter if I was illegally or legally drinking, people would still find something to use to blame me. But I guess this begs the question, and this question is from me. If you're around strangers who you really have not met before and you don't know what could possibly go down with these people because you do not know them, why in the hell would you go to their hotel room and then start drinking? Like, it just seems like something you shouldn't be doing, especially if these people are strangers. But anyways, moving on, we're almost done here.
My goal for coming out about this all, I've strayed very far away from my goal. My goal when I came out about this was for it not to be about drama, for it not to be about canceling. And I know you hear that now and you're probably thinking you're the biggest hypocrite in the world, and I acknowledge that. I have strayed. Anytime I replied to him on Twitter, anytime I made a response on Twitter, anytime I was like, look at these screenshots, look, it opened the floor for it to be viewed as drama and as, you know, me trying to ruin his life. I made those tweets out of, I felt like I was backed into a corner. I made those tweets out of anger, seeing him say he would have never, like, crossed someone's boundaries. I was really upset. And I acknowledged by doing that stuff, I strayed away from my goal of why I did this all. But it is true that that was my goal in the beginning. For everyone that watched my first stream and didn't stop, that happened. People watched my stream, heard me tell my story, how scared I was, heard my story, but stopped after the story was done to go in their notes app, to write down every single detail about the guy that did it, to go to Twitter, to then form these bands and figure out who did it and who to attack. It wasn't fucking about him. It wasn't about him. And if you would have listened past my story and listened to any of the things I talked about after, it's about victims. It's barely even about me. It's me telling my story about assault. It's about assault, and it's about the things that go on behind the scenes. And it became this thing about him, about canceling him, about drama. It turned into this thing to spread hate and to spread, you know, people just fighting and picking sides, and then people commenting on it. You know, the commentary, like it's a fucking sports match, and it's not real fucking life.
Alright, okay, I'll stop stealing Nicholas Diorio's shit, okay? But that shit is actually pretty funny. I mean, it's sort of expected that, like, when you bring your shit to the internet, where literally anybody can have an opinion, by the way, anybody can go and make a Twitter account and say whatever the fuck they want, don't just not expect nobody to talk about this in terms of commentary channels when you go after, like, one of the biggest Minecraft YouTubers out there right now. Like, I'm sorry, maybe you shouldn't have brought it to the internet. Like, I know you're saying, oh, I wanted to share the story because I don't want people to blindly idolize other people, because that can be very dangerous, but you could have went about this a whole different way, or you purposely could have been more vague about it. Because I mean, regardless, if this information does get out and there's a back and forth between somebody who's accusing a big Minecraft YouTuber of something really heinous, of course commentary channels are going to cover it. Like, it's the big news in the community and on Twitter. So of course people are going to talk about it because it gets clicks and it gets views. It's how people make their money. Because I definitely do think this could have went a different way, like a way better way, if this didn't just get turned into drama, because that's frankly what happened. It was a back and forth, and it's still going back and forth. You making this response to George once again, it's a back and forth that's been continuing on for like the past 2 weeks. And I'm not really sure if you were intending for this to ruin his life or not, but that's exactly what you were doing. And the reason why people are laughing at your story and why they think you're lying is because your story is all over the place. Like, one of the first things you should have said in this situation in the first live stream was that George stuck his hand underneath your bra and did that. Like, that should have been one of the first things to come out, and you should have presented it in a way better way compared to how you did it. Because also leaving things out and then like revealing them later after the person who's defending themselves reveals it for you does not really make you look too good.
And the biggest thing that I want to mention, and one of the last things, is people saying, why did you come publicly about this? Why didn't you keep it private? Why did you? Because I saw what Shelby did for me. I saw the effect Shelby had on me. Seeing another content creator, someone I looked up to, speaking out about something that happened, realizing that someone I looked up to went through the same thing as me, you don't understand what that does. You don't understand how that feels. I wanted to be that for other people. Me staying silent about my situation, who is that helping? I understand, oh, it's just bringing up, because if you view it as drama, it is like, oh, why are you bringing this drama forward? But it isn't, it's sexual assault. It is me, and my viewers know one of the biggest things I've focused on in my content is being open for the purpose of connecting. Because realizing someone that you watch goes through the same things that you do, it is It is so healing and it is so eye-opening.
You know, when it comes down to Shelby, I really don't know how I feel about this, but am I really surprised? Not really. I mean, I know how people feel about Wilbur, and I know his response was dog shit. I've said that many times now. I'm not defending him or anything, but you gotta remember, Shelby came out, didn't provide any evidence, all hearsay, sort of like how Caiti did, and all because Wilbur made like a really shitty response. Like he ruined his fucking career in 2 seconds because of it. Do I think that was really justified? I don't know. Maybe he deserved it, maybe he didn't, but I don't know. All I know is that with her, she accused him of abusing her and didn't really back anything up. Not even one like image or screenshot or anything. So I really don't know how I feel about that. And am I really surprised, like I said before, that Caiti came out because she saw Shelby talk about her story? No, not really at all. And also, speaking of Shelby, actually, I'm not sure if it's going to be later today or tomorrow, but we're going to talk about her because recently she made a live stream talking about all of this, and I just figured, hey, let's go through all of it. I think I said that in the beginning of this video too.
And again, I will always, if I could do this all over, I would do it all again, because the amount of viewers of mine and viewers that aren't of mine that have reached out to me saying they understand and that they feel safe now to accept what's happened to them. Not even safe to come out about their stories, because you don't have to come out about your story. You don't have to yell it off the rooftops to heal from it, you know? But again, it is a big help. It creates this open discussion of these hard things to talk about. That's why I came out about my story. Not to, and again, I know it sounds hypocritical, and I'm acknowledging that, and I did things I probably shouldn't have with making it this drama kind of thing on Twitter by replying and being, you know, but yeah, again, I came out with my story. It's fine if you don't believe me. And it's also really fine if you don't understand me. You don't understand why I did. You don't understand why I couldn't have stood up in the moment and ran out of the room. It's fine if you don't understand, because the story isn't for you. It's for people victims who understand my thought process. My first stream wasn't, this is all the bad stuff that this person did, go kill them. It was me describing my experience with assault that happened to me, and then acknowledging it, you know, actually realizing, shit, this is something that happened to me and I can't ignore it, and accepting it. It was about my journey as a victim, and I fully understand not many people to understand that kind of journey. And even if you are a victim and don't understand me, you know, you don't have to have the same situation to still be a victim, so I understand that as well. My story was meant for people who chose to believe me, not because, you know, of proof or because I have video of it or because of any of that, but because they've experienced it themselves and they recognize it. They recognize what I've went through, and they recognize that I'm sincere about it. I feel like the whole situation, the way it played out, has been very unfair. But what's most unfair is what he did to me in the first place. So there's that. I'm tired of the constant fight of trying to validate what I went through, to validate and prove that I was uncomfortable. I'm tired with it all, honestly. But again, I would still do it all over again, because I don't want people to view that as me like bowing out and, you know, because I bit more than I can chew. I'm still here, but I'm just not gonna apologize for what I've went through. I know there may be more after this, more, you know, people trying to get the final word, or like people, you know, responding to what I've said. But this is my final thought on it all.
Now, I guess there you guys have it. Now, for the rest of the live stream, she doesn't talk about anything really significant, anything that I really care about. She talks about whether or not she's going to be coming back to her career, her Twitch channel or not. And it's like, man, I really don't care. I don't feel like I need to cover it. Now, that was a lot for me to go through. I think I'm pretty much done with these Minecraft dramas at this point. I mean, really wouldn't be surprised if George makes another response on this. If he does, I guess I'll cover that too. I'm also going to talk about Shelby Shovel too. And yeah, I guess for a little bit of context here, I'm not sure if I said this at the beginning of the video or not. I stayed up all night making this video, and just like the other videos, it's been a huge headache. Now, I guess here are my thoughts on the whole situation. After another one of Caiti's responses, I personally don't think Caiti was being too truthful when it came down to this, and I feel like the whole thing was just a huge misunderstanding. I feel like they should have just had a conversation behind the scenes, and this never should have been brought to the internet, because essentially what happened for her was there were holes in her story got shot down, and now this will be forever stained on her reputation, at least if she does go on to do content still. Do I think this was all worth it for her? Definitely not. And with that being said, I don't know what else to say. I kind of just want the video to be over. I mean, this video has been going on for like a long time. We're at the 50-minute mark, and it feels like I've been doing this shit for like hours. I mean, I have been, but yeah, no, I guess with that being said, you guys can take all of that however you guys want to. If you made it to the end of the video, I am incredibly surprised because I almost didn't make it here. But I guess anyways, wrapping up the video, video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you happen to enjoy the video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe so it gets promoted more in the algorithm so more people will see it. Thank you guys so much for being a member to the channel. Your support really means the world to me, and I really do appreciate it. Now, once again, if you guys are not subscribed to my second channel, make sure you subscribe to my second channel because I guess you could say that channel right now is a palate cleanser. So, I mean, if you've had enough of like Minecraft allegations and drama, I recently did post a video about Neon. I actually happen to be making another video on Neon after this video. Once I'm done editing this, I'm going to get started on a Neon video. It deals with that 14-year-old kid that we talked about and the reason why he got banned from Kick. And I just figured, hey, it's a continuation on what already happened. I'll talk about it again. I'm going to talk about it on the second channel and we're going to have a good old time. So yeah, once again, make sure you go check that out. I cover smaller topics on that channel. And yeah, my name is Breone and I will see you in my next video. Peace.
Shit it all.